From updates that nearly killed Clash Royale to the ones that actually saved it, these are the best versus worst updates in the game's history. Starting with one of the good ones. 2017 was the year Clash Royale found its identity. The game was barely a year old, but instead of slowing down, it exploded. Supercell went full throttle, update after update, month after month, reshaping the entire player experience and building the foundation for long-term success. And it all started with the March 13th update. Before this, reaching top arena felt empty. There were no real rewards, no leagues, no milestones, just bragging rights. But that has all changed with trophy leagues and the draft chest. Now players had seasonal goals, real progression, and a massive, juicy reward chest that actually scaled with how well you did. It finally felt worth it to push higher, but that wasn't even the biggest thing. Clan battles dropped and changed the game forever. It was Clash Royale's first real social update. 2v2 mode, teaming up with friends, coordinating pushes, it wasn't just fun, it was revolutionary. For the first time, Clash Royale became something you didn't just play against people, you played it with them. The mode became so loved, so iconic, that Supercell made it permanent, and 2017 just kept delivering. 4 brand new chests gave loot variety, touchdown mode brought a bold new gameplay concept, quests added daily engagement and better structure, real-time spectating let you watch your clanmates battle, and quality of life updates made the entire game feel a whole lot smoother. Looking back, 2017 wasn't just a good year, it was the year. The moment Clash Royale evolved from a fun mobile game into a cultural force. It built systems we still use today. It created memories that players still talk about, and most importantly, it made millions of people fall in love with the game all over again. And now a bad one. So touchdown mode was one of Clash Royale's most creative ideas. At least on paper. It promised something fresh, exciting, and totally different, but man, it was overhyped. Back in 2017, Supercell called it the biggest update ever, and sure, it was big, packed with content, flashy announcements, and global creator events, but biggest implies game-changing, not just more stuff. And that's where things started to fall apart. They teased it for 8 weeks straight, ran huge live streams with creators from all over the world, and marketed it like it was the next big thing.
I am super excited to announce a stream coming soon, highlighting a brand new game mode for Clash Royale coming in the next update. This new game mode is going to be unlike anything we've seen before in Clash Royale.
But when it dropped, it wasn't. The mode was filled with bugs and glitches, screen distortions, scoring errors, and broken mechanics where touchdowns didn't even count. Some cards like Hog Rider and Golem were completely overpowered, which made the game mode feel unbalanced and frustrating. To make things worse, you had to pay gems to keep playing after the first entry fee, which was super weird considering Supercell was clearly trying to get everyone to play it. While it was optional, the way it was marketed made players feel like they were supposed to enjoy it, but the experience just didn't live up to the hype. One Redditor summed it up perfectly. Touchdown had potential, but the execution was so poor it became one of the most disliked features in the game. Honestly, it had so many problems. It could have had its own videos about bug and glitch compilations. Bugs and glitches, sure, those happen with every major update, no big deal, they get patched, but that wasn't the real problem with Touchdown. The issue was the hype. Supercell called it the biggest update ever, ran global live streams, and built it up like it was a revolution. If they had just released it quietly without the massive build-up, it might have just been fine, but because the expectations were sky high, Touchdown's flaws hit even harder. And that's how it earned its reputation as one of the most disappointing features in the game. By the end of 2017, Clash Royale was slowing down, the hype was fading, and players were hungry for something fresh. That is when Supercell dropped a bombshell: Clan Wars. For the first time ever, clans had a real reason to exist beyond donations and trophy pushing. This wasn't just another update, it was a turning point. Clan Wars gave players a true team-based goal. It added deeper strategy, more collaboration, and real stakes for your clan's performance. It didn't just shake up the gameplay, it revived the community. It was simple, it was fun, and most importantly, it worked. Ask any veteran and they'll tell you the original Clan Wars hit different. It felt balanced, fair, addictive. You played for your clan, not just for yourself. And that made wins feel meaningful. And yeah, let's not talk about Clan Wars 2 just yet, because the original, that was peak clan gameplay, but 2018 didn't stop there. This update brought a wave of subtle but powerful quality of life changes. Permanent emote muting, finally, spectator emotes so you could cheer on or troll your friends live, deck sharing making strategy more social and accessible, and Supercell ID, which fixed years of account login headaches. Seriously, why did this take them so long? Individually, these might seem small, but together they made Clash Royale smoother, smarter, and more connected. It wasn't just a content drop, it was a refinement, a polished pass on the entire player experience. And it kept the game thriving throughout the year. 2018 proved something big, that Clash Royale didn't need flashy gimmicks to win players over. Sometimes all it takes is a meaningful change done right. And now, Clan Wars 2. Oh boy, oh boy. Let's be real, Clan Wars 2 could fill its own video, but here's the short version. By 2019, Clash Royale looked strong on the surface. New cards, new modes, solid QoL updates, but underneath, players felt it. The spark was fading. Supercell kinda knew it too, so they started teasing something big. Slow, cryptic hints. A single image during the anniversary video. No text, no context, just enough to set Reddit on fire. And fans guessed it immediately. Clan Wars is coming back. The original was outdated, stale. Players wanted something deeper, something that would evolve the clan system, and Supercell delivered the hype perfectly. Weeks of reveals, Twitter teases, global anticipation. By the time Clan Wars 2 dropped on August 31st, 2020, expectations were sky high. And then, well, everything kinda collapsed. It launched on the last possible day of August. Already a bad look. But worse, after nearly a year of dev time, it felt rushed and buggy. Bugs, glitches, crashes, matchmaking issues, touchdown, deja vu. Even worse, they removed quests, one of the game's most beloved casual features, and replaced it with a boot. If your clan didn't have 50 active members, you were locked out of rewards completely. No fallback, no fun, just a broken system. And the backlash? Ooh. Massive. Players quit, forums exploded, Supercell issued a public apology, but the damage was done. Yep, Clan Wars 2 had some cool ideas, new game modes, a better structure in theory, but all of it was burned under poor execution and broken expectations. What was meant to revive the game felt like a betrayal. Before 2019, Clash Royale had a big problem. Ladder felt pointless. Unless you were chasing top leaderboards, there was no real reason to keep pushing trophies. Trophy Road changed that, and it worked. For the first time, every arena milestone meant real rewards. Gold, cards, gems, trade tokens, emotes, you name it. The higher you climbed, the better the loot. Progress no longer felt like a gamble, it felt earned. Before this, pushing ladder gave you almost nothing. Unless you were in the top 1%, matches barely mattered. But now, every game counted. Even better, it added a social layer. You could see where your friends were, track their progress, and flex when you passed them. Climbing ladder became its own mini competition. Then came one of the smartest changes ever. Trophy gates. Once you reached a new arena, you were locked in. No more dropping down after a bad streak, just steady, satisfying progress. I still remember how brutal it used to be. You'd unlock a new arena, lose 3 games, and fall right back down. It was frustrating. Trophy gates fixed that. There was also a seasonal reset above 4,000 trophies. Players dropped down at season end, but could re-earn rewards they'd already unlocked. That made resets feel fresh and not punishing. The update came with a full UI overhaul as well. Clean, modern, and intuitive. Everything meshed together. Despite all the changes, nothing really felt bloated. It felt smarter, more motivating, more fun. Later, Supercell added Path of Legends for ranked play, a brilliant decision. Now, sweaty tryhards had their ladder, and casual players had theirs. No more getting stomped by pros every single match. Looking back, if Trophy Road hadn't dropped in 2019, that year kinda would have been forgettable. Instead, it became a turning point, a reminder that Clash Royale could still evolve. And just when things were looking up, Supercell dropped one of the most controversial updates in Clash Royale history. Slash Royale. At first, it looked like the most generous event Clash Royale had ever seen. 50% off all card upgrades, gold rushes, stacked challenges, daily rewards. From October 17th, 2021, players were grinding non-stop, spending gold, buying books, and maxing out their decks. Everyone thought this is it, Clash Royale's hammer gem. Just like in Clash of Clans, where big update discounts always come before a new town hall, people assumed something big might be coming, and Supercell reassured us, nope, no new levels planned. So, everyone went all in. Gold, gems, real money. Then came October 21st. Boom. Level 14 cards announced, and just like that, everything kinda changed. Upgrade costs were lowered, card requirements were reduced, gold prices were slashed even more than Slash Royale. Players who had maxed out cards during the event, they got punished. Those who waited, they got better value. It was like upgrading during a fake sale, only to find out the real one started the next day. Here's an example for you. Before, level 12 to 13 needed 5,000 commons. After, only 3,000. New level 14, yep, 5,000 yet again. Supercell just shifted the old requirement forward. Same with gold. The new upgrade path was cheaper, but Supercell didn't warn anyone. So if you went all in during Slash Royale, you got scammed. People lost millions of gold, wasted legendary cards, and spent magic items they'd been saving for months on what turned out to be worse deals. And I don't even want to consider how much real money people got scammed out of for this update. Backlash deservedly exploded. Supercell responded with a partial apology, some card compensation, some gold, but the damage was already done. What was supposed to be the most rewarding event in Clash Royale history ended up being a bait and switch. It wasn't the worst update ever, but it might be the biggest betrayal. When Pass Royale launched in 2019, it changed everything. Until then, progression in Clash Royale was a grind, random chests, a few short-lived quests, and constant uncertainty. You never knew what you would get or when. Rewards felt slow, scattered, and unrewarding. But then came Pass Royale, and for the first time, Clash Royale had structure. Inspired by the Battle Pass systems from other games, Supercell introduced their own version, and it worked. It was clean, simple, and back then, objectively better than what we have today. For just a few bucks, you got access to a full season of guaranteed rewards. Tower skins, banners, gold, gem, chests. It was clear, visible, and satisfying. You knew exactly what you were working toward, and that made every match feel meaningful. Even if you didn't pay, the free tier still offered solid rewards. Gold, chests, cosmetics. You weren't left out. You could still grind and feel like you were progressing. Meanwhile, paying players got extra perks, but not in a way that made free players feel completely shafted. It struck the perfect balance. Pass Royale made the game feel more fun, more generous, and more goal-driven. And that's why players loved it. It also came with some good quality of life upgrades players didn't know they needed until they had them. Skip timers with gems, no more waiting hours for chests, unlimited challenge retries, fail, try again. No stress. Crown boosts to speed up reward tracks, and daily bonuses for consistent logins. These little additions made the game feel smoother and more modern. And the best part, it kept people playing. Pass Royale wasn't just a monetization tool, it was a motivation system. It gave every match a purpose. Oh yeah, and those cosmetics, they were a fun cherry on top. Of course, there were some early concerns. Some players worried it might push people towards spending money, and unfortunately, those fears became reality later on. But back in 2019, Pass Royale was a win. It brought value to paying players without punishing free ones. It helped Clash Royale feel rewarding again, and for a while, it was one of Supercell's best designed updates. And of course, time for another controversial update, and this was a very big one. The community quickly dubbed it the update for losers, and honestly, it fit. The idea sounded harmless: give players who lost a match a bit of gold and a crown. But the rewards were so small, they felt pointless. Worse, winning got nerfed. Rewards for victories were reduced across the board. Then came the real blow. Pass Royale was gutted. What used to be a $5 value-packed deal got split into 3 tiers. Free, which was even worse than before, Gold, which was $6, and Diamond, which was $12. And with it came some massive cuts. The Book of Cards, gone. Royal Wild Chest, gone. Book of Books, also gone. And in their place, a few banners, a champion card you can now buy without reaching King level 14. Pay to win had never been this obvious. The season shop was pitched as a choose your reward system, but in reality it was a grind-heavy downgrade. 10 tokens equals 1 gold. Misuse your tokens, you get nothing. Chest rewards and masteries were quietly nerfed. Party mode stopped giving crowns. Even 2v2 crown farming got axed, then awkwardly re-added after some backlash. The whole update felt like punishment to free players, paying players, just everyone. And after the Slash Royale disaster, this was the moment many players realized Supercell just wasn't listening. Champions Update. When the Champions Update dropped, it didn't just add new cards, it kinda just changed Clash Royale forever. For the first time since 2016, Supercell introduced a brand new rarity: Champions. No new rarities in 5 years, and then boom. What made the Champions truly revolutionary wasn't their rarity, it was their active abilities. Until now, Clash Royale was about placement, timing, and elixir. You placed your cards, and that was it. But Champions, you could tap a button mid-battle and flip the match in an instant. They gave you control, real-time decisions, a whole new layer of strategy. So let's talk about the cards. Archer Queen, cloaked mid-fight, shredding entire pushes in seconds. Golden Knight dashed unpredictably, wiping swarms and sometimes ending up at your tower out of nowhere. Skeleton King, a walking graveyard. He absorbed fallen souls and summoned an entire skeleton army with a tap. There was one rule though, only one champion per deck and only one on the field at a time. But that's all it took. The right champion used at the right moment could decide the match. Decks changed overnight, old strategies died. Now it wasn't just about what you played, it was about when you hit the ability button. Prediction, reaction, timing. It was the biggest strategic leap in Clash Royale history. But then came the controversy. To unlock champions, you needed King level 14. For many players, that felt like a slap in the face. They'd spent years grinding to max level, and Supercell just moved the goalpost. Free-to-play players were furious, thousands of XP just to access a new mechanic. Still, the cards were worth it. Supercell didn't just add a rarity, they brought modern upgrades to the whole game. Drag and reorder your decks, copy opponent decks from battle logs, faster UI, smarter menus. Things that should have been there years ago finally arrived. For competitive players, it was a breath of fresh air. Ranked mode with no level caps, pure skill-based gameplay. Even progression got a boost. Early card upgrades got cheaper, gold became easier to earn, and tournament caps were adjusted. Of course, launch bugs showed up, Archer Queen's cloak glitched, champion buttons vanished mid-match, clone spell spawned 2 champions, but this time Supercell actually fixed them fast. Hot fixes came in days, not weeks. And the community took note. Even the players who hated level 14 had to admit it. Champions were fun. They made you want to log in, not to grind, but to try new strategies, to play again. Suddenly, everyone, casuals, pros, content creators, had something new to explore, because this wasn't a gold nerf or another shop skin. It was a reimagining of what Clash Royale could be. Even today, the ripple effects are clear. Champions don't just add cards, they add depth, control, and skill expression. That's why the Champions update isn't just one of the most important in Clash Royale history, it's one of the best. Proof that when Supercell goes big, they still know how to deliver. So, quick question, what comes after 14? Yep, that's right. 15, and with it came one of Clash Royale's most controversial updates ever. Supercell called it a no gold update. No more coins to upgrade cards, just a brand new currency. Elite wildcards. Sounded fair until it launched. To upgrade one card from level 14 to 15, you needed 50,000 elite wildcards. Let that sink in. Now here is the insane part. Getting a duplicate champion, the rarest card in the game, only gave you 500 wildcards. Do the math. You need 100 champion cards just to max a single card to level 15. From level 13 to 14 took maybe 20 champion equivalents. This new system, 5 times as worse for just one level. And then came the kicker. Supercell dropped a shop offer, 50,000 wildcards for $10. Yep, for $10, you could skip the grind. But to max a full deck, $80 to $100. Your whole collection, hundreds, maybe thousands. This wasn't progression, it was a paywall. Reddit exploded, YouTubers raged, even creators with early access told Supercell this was a mistake. They didn't listen. Worse, Supercell asked for feedback beforehand. Players warned them, and they still went through with it. And their excuses? They changed the story mid-Backlash. First it was, we want players to try new cards. Then it became, max players were quitting, so we added a new level. But if that were true, then why make it impossible to reach without money? Not everything in this update was bad though. Evolutions were brilliant. They gave new life to old cards, added strategy, and made ladder fresh again. But just like level 15, they were also locked behind painful grinds and shop offers. So even the good stuff felt out of reach for most players. This update didn't feel like it was made for the community. It felt like it was made for profits. And that's what hurt the most. Not just the grind, but the realization that Supercell wasn't listening anymore. For many longtime fans, this felt like the worst update in Clash Royale history, because it wasn't just a design failure, it was a betrayal. And sadly, it didn't get better. And then, out of nowhere, Supercell dropped a bombshell. Card evolutions. At first, it sounded just like a gimmick, but once the update dropped, it was clear. This was the most game-changing feature Clash Royale had introduced in years. Instead of dumping new cards into the game, Supercell made a smarter move. They gave old cards a second life. Cards that were forgotten, power crept, ignored. Now, they evolved. And these weren't just stat boosts, they had new mechanics, new visuals, and new personalities. Suddenly cards like Skeletons and Firecracker weren't just filler, they were threats. The impact, immediate. Every ladder match forced you to second guess, wait, are those normal archers or evolved ones? You had to adapt, predict, and build around timing. Because evolutions aren't spammable. To use one, you had to first play the base card, then wait a full cycle before you could drop the evolved version. Some needed one cycle, some needed two. That added depth, risk, and real planning. And visually, evolutions looked insane. Glowing borders, unique animations, new VFX, each one screamed, this is not the card you remember. Even better, Supercell nailed the progression. No more waiting for shop rotations. You could unlock evolutions through events, challenges, and in the battle pass. For free-to-play players, it felt like a win, like the system was built for everyone, not just whales. And Supercell didn't stop. Month after month, new evolutions kept coming. Season after season, the meta kept shifting. Suddenly, Clash Royale wasn't about what card you played, it was about what card was evolving next. Sure, it wasn't perfect. Some evolutions, like Royal Recruits or Firecracker, were too strong and broke the meta for weeks. And yeah, 6 shards per unlock felt steep for some players, but overall, the feature hit. It brought back creativity, variety, and unpredictability. It turned forgotten commons into threats, and it gave Clash Royale something it hadn't had in years. A reason to care again. While most games try to stay alive by adding more cards, currencies, complexity, Evolutions did the opposite. They flipped the old into something new. And that move, genius. What wasn't genius was the update that came right after. Let's talk about the Goblin update of 2024, which many players saw as a massive cash grab. In early 2024, Clash Royale released the Goblin update, its first major content drop of the year, and the most Goblin-themed the game had ever been. It introduced 3 brand new cards, a special temporary ladder, and a unique gameplay mechanic tied directly to the theme. Visually, the update was packed with personality, flashy animations, green-tinted effects, and chaotic energy that matched the Goblin faction perfectly. They even made a whole animation on their YouTube about the Goblin Queen taking over. At the center of it was the Goblin Curse, a new spell unlike anything Clash Royale had seen before. When cast, it transformed enemy troops into goblins and also had a 50% damage amplification. This gave players a quick response tool that worked well on both offense and defense. In practice, it was fast, reliable, and difficult to punish. Within days, Goblin Curse was everywhere, used in nearly every deck at every level of play. It was very painful to fight against. Then came 2 new Goblin troops, the Goblin Machine, a ranged siege-style unit that shredded towers and troops alike, and Goblin Demolisher, a slow tanky unit with a massive death explosion that could still hit your tower even after you countered it. Individually, they were creative. Together, they broke the meta. Deck variety gone. You were either using the new cards or building decks to counter them. Top ladder, grand challenges, it kinda all blurred into the same toxic, overpowered mess. Supercell rushed out emergency nerfs. Goblin Curse lost some damage, Demolisher's blast radius got trimmed, Machine became less punishing when ignored, but by then, the damage was done. To hype it all up, they launched the Goblin Ladder, a special event where players could unlock the new cards and earn themed rewards. Tower skins, emotes, gems. Great idea on paper. In reality, it got repetitive. Fast. Players grinded through it just to avoid missing out. And of course, there was monetization. The second the update dropped, the shop was packed with premium bundles. All 3 Goblin cards, evolution tokens, bonus wild cards. Then, boom, emergency nerf. Yeah, convenient, huh? It felt like Supercell sold these cards at peak power, knowing they'd nerf them later. Free-to-play players were left in the dust while whales dominated those first few days. And yet, despite the chaos, the Goblin update had heart. It was bold, colorful, full of new ideas. But it launched too fast with too little balance. It wasn't a disaster, but it also wasn't the redemption Clash Royale needed. It had potential. It just needed more time in the oven. But now let's talk about another bad update. This update isn't like any of the other updates we talked about. It was so bad that it caused many players to either boycott the game or fully leave it. It caused one of the biggest backlashes ever from the community, and it was even considered to be the sequel to the update for losers. Maybe even worse than it. The April 2025 update. By early 2025, Clash Royale was losing trust. The game had gone through a wave of controversial monetization changes, and while new cards and modes kept trickling in, something felt off. The heart of the game was slipping into something cold and corporate. Then came the April update, and no one was ready for what Supercell dropped. On March 28th, they dropped a TV Royale episode with one shocking headline: "No more chests." Yes, that chest system. The same one that's been around since 2016, the core of Clash Royale's grind, the addictive little dopamine hit that made every match feel worth it, gone. Why? According to Supercell, chest timers were outdated. Players didn't like waiting, but instead of removing timers, like they already did in Clash of Clans, they scrapped the entire system. In its place, lucky drops. Win a match and you'd instantly get gold cards and crowns. No waiting, no unlocking, sounds nice, until you hear the catch. 3 lucky drops per day. After that, nothing. Win or lose, your progress stops. It felt punishing, like Supercell was saying, thanks for logging in, now get out. 3 matches, 10 minutes, that's all the game wanted you to play. For a company trying to keep their players engaged, this was one of the dumbest decisions in Royale history. Another big thing they removed was the season shop, which would haunt their comment section for a long time. Their reasoning behind it was that apparently many people didn't know of its existence. This is what they wrote in their blog post. Despite offering many great rewards, the season shop wasn't very popular. Some players didn't participate in seasonal events, while others didn't know the shop even existed. We want to make the best rewards accessible to all players and give everyone the freedom to enjoy their favorite modes without being forced into seasonal events. Well, now you've forced people to grind for them. They also removed the banner box completely, and now instead of buying the mediocre banners, some of them actually looking AI generated, you now had to grind for them. Even the paying players got backstabbed. They changed Pass Royale once again. One good thing they implemented in the Pass Royale was for the free tier. It now gave 2 wild shards instead of 1, which is great, but because they removed the chests, no one got royal or legendary wild chests, and the Diamond Pass gems were heavily reduced. They got much less gold, much less cards, and total EWC value was reduced by 19%. Royal API echoed this sentiment in their blog, where they also calculated the changes between the old and newer systems, and boy, the changes were massive. The progression was basically nerfed by roughly 50% for everyone, especially free-to-play players. Not even paying players were safe. Now, let me remind you that this was announced at the end of March, with April 1st approaching the door. So many people thought and hoped that this update was nothing more than a joke. And yeah, it wasn't a joke. The update stayed, even after April Fools. These changes did not sit well with the community. Reddit exploded almost immediately. Top-rated posts were all about how bad the update was, and many started to boycott the game, wanting the respect Supercell no longer had for its players. Creators like Boss stopped buying offers from the in-game stores, and they, along with a majority of players, stopped buying Pass Royale. The idea of the boycott was simple: to damage Supercell's revenue to the point that they revert the update. Many threads like petition to revert the March 31st update gained traction, along with other similar posts. Longtime players criticized the move as short-sighted and soulless. One user wrote, "The game feels like a shell of what it used to be." Others argued that this wasn't about player experience at all. It was a way to push more people into buying rewards rather than earning them. Now, look, every update has its ups and downs. Even the bad ones usually have some die-hard fans trying to defend them. But this one, no one defended it. Not a single player. The community despised it. Top posts on Reddit, YouTube, Twitter, it was a wall of rage. And when everyone is against you, that's when you know your game is in serious trouble. To be fair, there were decent additions. New evolutions, broken as always, a new champion, some long overdue QOL fixes like the play again button. They even polished the UI and reworked pathfinding, fixing troop stutters and better targeting, but that same pathfinding also broke the muscle memory of veteran players, ruining split mechanics and multi-deploy troop behavior. None of it really mattered, because the core gameplay loop was gutted, the progression system was flattened, the soul of the game was gone, and worst of all, Supercell just stayed silent. Oh, and to make things worse, they started paying for bot reviews. Seriously. Fake 5-star ratings like "I play Brawl Stars now, best app playing since 2014. I mean, it's just pathetic, dude. The community was heartbroken watching their favorite game get slowly butchered, and creators, they fought back loudly, begging Supercell to wake up before it was too late. And just when hope seemed lost, Supercell dropped another announcement, a new update in June. And what came next, nobody saw coming. When Supercell teased the June update, the community held its breath. After April's disaster, players were hoping for a fix. They didn't get a full reversal, but they got something. A rework of Trophy Road, a brand new legendary card, and a flashy new mode called Merge Tactics, basically a reskinned version of their failed game, Clash Mini. On paper, it was ambitious, a shot at fixing long-standing progression issues. In reality, it raised just as many questions as it answered. The biggest change, Trophy Road got a full overhaul. For years, it rewarded ladder climbs, but it got stale fast, especially at the top. Now, it extends past 9,000 trophies and caps at 10,000. New arena, new seasonal skins, and for once, climbing felt like it mattered again. Old school players rejoiced when fan-favorite card unlocks and special drops made a return. It felt like Supercell remembered its roots. Meanwhile, Path of Legends got renamed to simply Ranked, and every old game mode moved into a clean, single-button mode switcher. One click and you've got access to every challenge, ladder, and a limited-time mode. Finally, no more digging through the Events tab. Then came the Spirit Empress, a fresh legendary with stunning visuals and elemental spirits swirling around her. Elegant, bold, instantly iconic. And finally, Merge Tactics, the update's most experimental feature. 4 players, auto chess matches, merge duplicates mid-battle to level up your cards, survive to win. Some called it genius, others a gimmick. Reddit was divided overnight. No one could agree if this was the future or, just another forgettable mode. Either way, this was the most packed update since Evolutions in 2023. The June 2025 update proved one thing. Supercell isn't done experimenting, but it's still walking on a razor's edge. One side, innovation, variety, and exciting new gameplay. On the other, overcomplication, aggressive monetization, and ignoring what the community actually wants. Whether this marks the start of a bold new era of Clash Royale or just another short-lived distraction depends entirely on what comes next. But while you're here, don't miss this other video where I break down every controversial card in Clash Royale history. If you've ever wondered why certain cards are so hated, this one is for you. Click it now, I'll see you there.